Local programming on KRWG Public Media made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Scott Percato with KRWG Public Media, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Music Spotlight. On his Facebook page, Sage Gentlewing claims to be old enough to have opened for Janis Joplin, but current enough to have opened for artists such as Jason Mraz and Lucas Nelson. He was a nominee for Best Adult Contemporary Artist of the Year for the Phoenix Music Awards, and a winner of the Producer's Choice Awards for the same event. His song, James Dean's Crash Site, won for Best Song, Best Production, and Best Performance of an Original Song at the 2024 New Mexico Music Awards in the Americana category. We're pleased to welcome singer-songwriter Sage Gentlewing to KRWG Music Spotlight. Well, it's been a while, you getting on the show, but welcome.
Thank you.
So you grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. You were exposed, as many people who grew up in the time that you did and in that area, to all different kinds of music. What kind of music and what artists influenced you most?
I grew up on blues and jazz and rock. And in the Bay Area in the mid-'60s, psychedelic era. So I came up with people like Janis Joplin and Grateful Dead, those kinds of bands for rock. But I studied jazz guitar to learn my instrument. So my roots are really in jazz and blues, but my heart really, as far as a kid growing up with music, influenced by the Beatles, the Stones, I adopted into rock music as a...
Well, you play a lot of Beatles. I've seen you several times live, and you do like a Beatles medley. Talk about the impact they did have on you musically.
The Beatles, like everybody my age, and I'm ancient now, but everybody who grew up and saw them on Ed Sullivan, who was aspiring at all to be a musician or maybe was triggered into being a musician by that show, was influenced by the Beatles in their freshness and their technical abilities, because rock music at that point was pretty innocent. And the Beatles brought in 4-part harmony and, really great arrangements and great songs that really hadn't been heard in the pop market before.
And they were self-contained.
Self-contained band. A lot of the bands that were being produced at that time were done by studio bands, and then they put the singer in front. But they were playing their own instruments, so that was good.
Well, let's talk about when and why did you change your name to Sage Gentlewing? And we won't tell what your real name is, but...
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a kind of a spiritual epiphany, if you will, back in 1987. And I was living in Arizona in the mountains up there, and did a little vision quest out in the country, out in the hills, and was visited by the animals and whatnot. And it's a long story to tell, so I can't tell it here, but I would just say I had kind of a spiritual awakening, and the name was adopted to, as a validation of my experience. And it was celebrating the first 35 years of my life, moving into the next 35 and onward. So it set a precedent for my path.
Well, let's get you set up to play your music. Talk about the first song you're about to play, A Friend Like You. When was that written and what inspired it? What else can you tell me?
I wrote A Friend Like You at 3 o'clock in the morning in 1983. And I put it on a cassette tape and forgot all about it for 40 years or whatever it's been since 1983. And a couple of years ago, I rediscovered it, cleaning out my cassette tapes. And I thought, I got to do this song. So I worked it back up, put it back in my repertoire, and actually, interestingly enough, I'm in the studio right now recording it for the first time professionally.
Well, it's a wonderful song. Let's let you get to it. Let's hear from Sage Gentlewing, today's guest on KRWG Music Spotlight.
Hi, this tune is called A Friend Like You.
Sometimes it gets a little lonely. I just don't know what to do. I start thinking, if only I had a good friend like you. Yeah, just have a good friend like you in this world. Sometimes it gets a little heavy around here. Nobody's talking for days. Well, a man could lose sight of himself just trying to find his way. Yeah, just try and find his way in this world. I remember the days when we spent walking, talking our troubles through. I never thought I'd see the day when I'd be without you. Yeah, without you. Yeah, yeah. You know, I've been so blue since I lost you. I feel such a fool to lose a friend like you. To lose a friend like you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought that I could live without you, but darling, I found I love everything about you, and you're a friend too. Sometimes it gets downright crazy. Life can be such a fight. Well, it's living on the fringes that scares me. Well, living on the edge of night. Yeah, just living on the edge of night in this world. I remember the days when we spent walking, talking our troubles through. I never thought I'd see the day when I'd be without you. Yeah, without you. Yeah, yeah. You know, I've been so blue since I lost you. I feel such a fool to lose a friend like you. To lose a friend like you. You know, it makes me blue. I feel such a fool to lose a friend like you. To lose a friend like you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. This next song is a song called James Dean's Crash Site, and won the New Mexico Music Awards last year for Best Song, and here we go. Riding in my car one fine day out on Route 46 on the great highway. Stopped for a meal at Jack's Ranch Cafe, only to discover 900 yards away, round a tree of heaven, marked the site when James Dean died one fateful night. Now it blew my mind as I cleaned my plate. Was a plaque on the wall about James Dean's fate. Seems a fan in Japan, rich businessman, decided to erect a monument to the man out on Highway 46 where James Dean died. How in the twilight of September, back in 1955, it was just James Dean died. His Porsche collided with a car in the road. James Dean died at 24 years old, but a fan in Japan, rich businessman, decided to erect a monument to the man out on Highway 46 when James Dean died. Well, there was all kinds of people, said all kinds of things. It was etched in bronze, cut in stone around this monument to James. Seemed James was an inspiration to people all over the land. He embodied the rebel spirit of America, but a fan in Japan, really understands. Out on James Dean's crash site. Out on James Dean's crash site. Out on Highway 46, Highway 46, where James Dean died. James Dean died. James Dean. James Dean died. All right. This next song is called Broken Dream. I wrote this out in Chamberino when I first arrived in this area 15 years ago. Can life be right again? Like it was when I was 10, when the world wasn't spinning out of control. Looking back, I understand how things got out of hand. Does anybody really plan to go down that road? I finally found a place to stay where I can rest and play. Really makes me wonder how I even got this far. 'Cause mine's a broken dream, like so many I've seen. Really makes me grateful just to be alive. All along the way, a miracle a day. If there's any prayer I praise, that it's all so true for you, that wherever you roam, you'll always have a home. Well, there's nothing like a hot bath to make even the hardest of times seem all right. I hope you'll find a world whose light does shine on you and strangers who are kind. It's true love finds its way to your heart someday.
Well, thank you for performing those songs, Sage. Let's talk about another one, the one you won an award for, James Dean's Crash Side. Again, it won Best Production, Best Song, Best Performance of an Original Song at the 2024 New Mexico Music Awards. First, how did that recognition make you feel?
Oh man, I've been at this a long time. I've won a few awards, but this one was really special. I mean, it's a full house among your peers, and I'd never done that event before, so to win on my first time out meant a lot. But also just the recognition of my peers is it's life affirming. Yeah.
We'll talk about, the song is sort of self-explanatory, James Dean's Crash Side, which by the way is the 70th anniversary of his death of a car crash. But what triggered you to write the song itself?
I was on a tour in 1993 across the country from San Francisco to Vermont. And I stopped at this little truck stop, Jack's Ranch Cafe, and there was a monument there. And there was all these plaques that were poems and things that were cribbed from American poets. And this monument was set up by this Japanese businessman. And there was like a whole thing that told the story at the site. So this is 900 yards from where James Dean actually crashed. And it was a monument to James Dean that was created by this Japanese businessman who grew up idolizing James Dean, who thought James Dean represented America. And then he became a very successful businessman and shipped this thing over at the cost of $27,000 from Japan. And it's in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, wow. And that inspired the song. I wrote the song at the site right then and there.
All right. Well, you've been recording some new music. Tell us about that. How's that coming along?
It's going great. I've got 3 songs done, still need to get mastered, but they're almost mastered.
And you've been revisiting a lot of, as you mentioned, older songs of yours too.
Yeah, well, I have songs that I've been performing for several years, like maybe 5 or 6 years, that were what I consider to be new songs. And then there's some that, like this one, Friend Like You, I wrote it in 1983 and then I rewrote it to get up to speed for the recording. So that's an old one. So I'm pulling from different eras of my career, which has been going since 1966.
Well, you have been around for a long time. And I know you still, to this day, practice, I've heard from your wife,
She's
Tony,
a liar, but
who's
okay.
watching from behind the cameras,
that
you still practice like several hours a day.
I do.
Up to 8 hours a day.
Well, some days when I'm preparing for certain events, it will be that much. Generally, I try to get like 3 to 5 hours a day. I break it up. I'm not always doing it in one stretch, but I'll break up my practice sessions depending on what I'm working on. So sometimes I'm writing a song, sometimes I'm practicing guitar, working out a lead or something. I'll spend hours, but I do it every day.
Well, what maintains the passion after all this time? Hard to say.
That's a hard one to answer. The music itself draws it out. I'm just born to it, and I always have loved music. And I had a passion for learning my instrument, guitar, and put a lot of years into it.
You went from lap steel to drums to guitar. Right?
Yeah.
Quite an evolution.
I first learned lap steel guitar when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
For 2 years I studied, and my teacher died, and I couldn't find a good teacher, and I kind of lost interest. I was still a kid. And then the Beatles hit in '64. I took up drums about a year before that happened. So then I went, I'm going to be a rock drummer. So I was. And I took lessons and could read and everything. And then about 1967, I switched over to guitar because my bandmates teased me because I always wanted to write songs and I was always coming up with ideas. But I didn't play a melodic instrument. So I said, I'll fool you. So I took up guitar and started writing my own stuff.
Well, we're glad that you did, and we have just a few seconds left. In 10 seconds, what advice would you give to a musical artist starting out today?
Get a good teacher on whatever instrument you decide to play and learn how to play it from the ground up. Get your technique, learn that, and then discover yourself as you go.
All right, great advice. Sage Gentlewing, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My thanks to Sage Gentlewing for being our musical guest. And be sure to catch our past performances on YouTube and like us on Facebook to keep up with future episodes. For KRWG, I'm Scott Mercado, and thank you for joining us for KRWG Music Spotlight.